Welcome to day 107 of the Get Your Goals Annual Challenge. This month, we're focusing on spiritual goals, spiritual well-being, spiritual health, as we work our way through doing one thing every day that helps us get what we want, helps you get what you want, and me get what I want in each of the different areas and aspects of our life. For 9 months of this year, we are focusing on and spending our time going through in pretty great detail, different areas and aspects of our life. We did emotional in February, mental in March, spiritual this month. Next month, we'll do physical, and we'll do the rest of the life framework that I've used since 2021. Actually, in 2021, I added confidence and communication to a 7-part life framework that I've used to set my goals, my objectives, kind of map out my life for decades, since the late 80s. So today, we're talking about a topic with respect to our spiritual well-being, our spiritual growth, and our spiritual goals. And that is the topic of forgiveness. Now, this is one of those things and those areas and aspects of my life that I really didn't think much about until I was older, right? Kind of just go through our life, going through the motions, doing what we think we should do until we have an event or something happen that causes us to look inward and look outward and take a step out of our comfort zone to figure out what and how things impact us, lessons learned, etc. And forgiveness is one of those areas that I didn't explore a whole lot because I didn't have a lot of things to forgive for people. Mostly, I've learned as I've explored forgiveness and learned more about it that the most and the biggest person I need to forgive is myself. I tend to beat myself up when I make a mistake or make decisions that end up turning out to be bad. And then I have learned that instead of beating myself up about it, I need to forgive myself and then figure out what lesson can I learn from that situation or that experience so I can move forward and not make that mistake again. Forgiveness, we're going to talk about, and we could talk about the benefits of it. We could talk about why it's important and that it's for you. It's not for the other person. It allows us to take that control of negative emotions and grief and judgments and things about ourselves that we probably need to let go of because they weren't true in the first place. But you can read about that in Guide 17 of the Get Up and Go Challenge private Facebook group. I did a write-up on this as well as the video that we do every day. Started doing that in February. I'm not sure if I'll go back in January and do that or not. I'm actually using ChatGPT to play with that and see what comes up on different topics that we're talking about. So today, I didn't find this on ChatGPT. I actually have known this from before, but I got this process off of the internet once upon a time, and it's the forgiveness process, 7 steps to true forgiveness. And you can use this on yourself. I'm using it on myself a lot, and on other people or other situations or other experiences you've had to work through them so that they don't have a negative hold on you anymore. And our action item today is going to be to take someone or something, including yourself perhaps, that you want to forgive and run through this process just once and see how it makes you feel. See if it helps you to deal with that process and deal with forgiveness in a way that gives you back control of the way you want your life to be versus letting the world kind of slap you around and have an impact on you. I also found something about there's 4 stages of forgiveness: hurt, hate, hook, and heal. And those are, magnifying glass please, is the experience, identify the experience and the feelings that you encountered because of that experience. Hate says, I can't read you've been hurt, and acknowledge that you've been hurt and that it happens, and then decide what are you going to do about it. Hook is to remind us that thinking that we have full control over everything that happens to us in our life is absolutely ridiculous. And it hooks us in, and it lets us think that we have control of anything outside of ourselves when really we only have control of our own feelings, our own emotions, our own thoughts, our own beliefs, our own lessons learned, our own life experience. Everybody else has control of their life experience. We have control of our life experience. We can only take responsibility for the things we do, not other people. And finally, heal. And that is about forgiveness, and it helps us to alleviate the problem of the negative things that are associated with not forgiving people, right? Have you ever had something happen and you held a grudge, or you didn't forgive somebody, and you realized and you thought about it over and over and over again and had negative emotions and negative feelings associated with it, and every time you thought about it, it made you feel bad? That's an example of why we want to forgive. We want to forgive so we can release those emotions and go on with our life and not be stuck in those negative loops. So what's a 7-step process for true forgiveness? Number 1, acknowledge that you've been hurt and that something's happened that has negatively impacted you. Number 2, consider, and that means we want to consider how the hurt has affected us and the pain that it's caused us. Step 3, accept that you can't control everything and that you can't change the past. What happens has happened. Instead of resisting and pretending it didn't happen, this is the point where we consider that it happened and maybe there's nothing we could do about it. Step 3. Step 3. I'm only on step 3 is accept the fact that I said that already. We can't change the past. 4 is indeed determine whether or not you are going to forgive or not. Are you going to forgive the person, the situation, and move forward? Because sometimes, guess what? We're not ready. And so we say, yep, I acknowledge that I've been hurt. I consider that I have been affected and there's been all this pain that's come into my life. I accept that I can't change the past. It's already happened. There's nothing I can do about it. And I'm not ready to change that yet. I'm not ready to deal with that situation emotionally, etc. But then at some point we click into and we decide, yes, I am going to do something about it. And step 5 then is to repair the situation. Step 6 is to learn from the situation. And finally, we want to look at the situation and say, what are the lessons that I can learn from this? And then 7 is to forgive. A lot of times I have found when I have to go through this process, it isn't about me forgiving the other person that was involved in the situation. It's about me. And that's part of it. But for me personally, it's not always, but it's often been more often than I want to admit, which is a huge lesson I've had to learn, that I have made a mistake in my judgment. I didn't do all my due diligence. I didn't see the signs that there was a problem with a person, a situation, or a thing going on because I just missed it. Or sometimes, guess what? I didn't want to see it. It was right in front of my face and I didn't want to see it. And I ignored it and I ignored those signs. And I have to learn to forgive myself for that. So that's our process. Today, our action item, go through this process for something. It could be a past thing that you've already forgiven another person or thing about or yourself about, but just go through the steps and see if the steps help you to move through and get to actual forgiveness where you let go of the negative emotions that are associated with pains that have been done to us or crimes against us in the past. So what were they? Acknowledge, consider, accept, determine, repair, learn, and then finally forgive. Guess what? It's kind of like the grief process. You have to do all these things before you actually are back in control and okay with it. Love to know your experience with this exercise. Share in the comments below today after you do it. And I'm going to do it too. I've got something that I'm working through and I'm going to work through it using these steps and see if I get a better result than how I've dealt with it in the past. Have an awesome day. And I'll of course be with you tomorrow for day 108 of this year's annual challenge. Have an awesome day.